Today we pause to celebrate our teachers on the occasion of World Teachers' Day, also known as International Teachers' Day. On October 5th, each year, St. Kitts and Nevis joins the rest of the world in drawing attention to the voices of teachers, who are at the heart of efforts to attain the global education target of leaving no one behind. I'm quite aware that teachers have grown accustomed to being celebrated at a ceremony where teachers who attain milestone years in this profession are recognized. I'm also aware that on World Teachers' Day, teachers who retired from active duty would also be honored for their service to the fraternity and to the nation. The Ministry of Education salutes both categories of honorees and gives the reassurance that this ceremony will take place in some form before the end of 2020. The existing crisis brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic has forced us to delay our celebratory activity for this year. It is clear that the COVID-19 pandemic has brought about complex challenges to the work that teachers do to ensure that the children of the world receive a quality education. It is no accident, therefore, that the theme selected for World Teachers' Day 2020, which reads, Teachers, Leading in Crisis, Reimagining the Future, is being created for such a time as this. Here, in St. Kitts and Nevis, teachers at all levels must be highly applauded for the many roles that they continue to play during this time of crisis. The issue of teachers stepping out of their comfort zone and assuming leadership roles is not only timely but critical in terms of contributions that they have to make to provide remote learning, to support vulnerable populations, to reopen schools safely, and to ensure learning gaps have been mitigated. Let me bring this point closer to home by reiterating the contributions that our teachers have made in learning during this pandemic. Hundreds of teachers took the initiative to use numerous online learning platforms as a means of continuing to engage their students in learning when schools were ordered closed for an indefinite period of time. The many teachers that availed themselves to be trained in delivering education in a virtual space. From every school in St. Kitts and Nevis, teachers who became known as champions took on the added layer of responsibility to train their colleagues to teach online. This is a powerful example of teachers leading in crisis. We witnessed many teachers leading in crisis when they reported to their schools daily during periods of lockdowns and curfews to lend their support in ensuring that the students who requested a hot lunch were able to receive school meals 5 days a week. The reopening of the early childhood centers on August 10, 2020, and the reopening of the primary and secondary sectors of our education system on Monday, September 7, 2020, saw teachers taking on new roles such as online instructors, recess and lunch monitors, and health screeners. Like nurses and doctors, teachers have joined the front line in helping to contain the spread of the coronavirus. Teachers have now become experts in reading body temperatures, screening students for persistent coughs and sneezes, enforcing the wearing of masks, washing of hands, and the practicing of proper hygiene. This, again, is another great example of teachers leading in crisis. As never before, were teachers called upon to discharge such responsibilities. The greatest acclamation is due to our school-based administrators and teachers for the excellent manner in which they contributed and continue to contribute to the implementation of the Ministry of Education's framework provided for the guidance of the reopening of schools. I said to the administrators and teachers, the Ministry of Education is heartened by your commitment and dedication that you, as teachers, have demonstrated in putting students first. We cannot thank you enough. Teachers, school administrators, parents the world over are hard at work trying to imagine what the future would look like for schools, for quality teacher education programs that will build resilient education systems for the ways children are socialized, how children learn, and how they are taught. It is an inescapable fact that teachers have a significant role in building resilience and shaping the future of education systems and the teaching profession. It is imperative that teachers be engaged in discussions on reimagining the future. When I spoke to teachers on the reopening of schools on September 7th, I made the point then that it is difficult to imagine the future of education without technology. St. Kitts and Nevis is among the leading Caribbean countries in investments in its digital foundation, most notably in upgrading its digital infrastructure. With a capable network to deliver broadband to government offices, schools, and other public service facilities, St. Kitts and Nevis is poised to modernize and digitize government operations to offer a suite of services to digitally enabled citizens, including the delivery of education in a virtual environment. The International Telecommunication Unit, ITU, ranked St. Kitts and Nevis number 1 in the Caribbean region in 2017, number 37 in the world of 176 countries, in their Information Communications and Technology, or ICT, Development Index, which assesses how ICTs contribute to economic, educational, and social impacts. First, ICT infrastructure needs to be in place, and it needs to be widely accessible. It is almost impossible for teachers to reimagine the future of education without ICT infrastructure being in place and widely accessible. Second, the ICT infrastructure needs to be used, with skills influencing the quality of that use. The evolving digitization is increasing the country's resilience to external shocks such as COVID-19 pandemic to continue business and government operations within an environment of social distancing rules and contactless daily transactions. With respect to the delivery of education services, St. Kitts and Nevis adapted innovative and flexible ways during this crisis. For example, the deployment of digital education, such as moving the curriculum and instructions online, in addition to low-tech options, such as television, radio, and mobile apps, WhatsApp, phone, or social media, were adopted to provide pedagogical guidance and support for teachers and parents. School closures presented the government of St. Kitts and Nevis with opportunities to close the digital divide or gap between those who had internet access and those who had limited or no access. As we reimagine the future, these lessons will inform the Ministry of Education's deployment of its strategic plan and collaboration in terms of public-private partnerships to introduce innovative solutions to deliver educational resources and to improve access to every household within the Federation. On balance, as teachers reimagine the future, there is no better time to invest in STEAM courses, digital literacy and skills, and to enhance ICT connectivity within households and communities. Building digital skills and creating a local market for them will be critical for St. Kitts and Nevis to be competitive as a service-based economy, creating job opportunities and/or attracting digitally enabled industries to the Federation. While the country has fared well in terms of an emergency response to COVID-19 pandemic, there remains key medium and long-term questions to be addressed in reimagining the future of the delivery of education in the Federation. These questions include how to prepare the digital infrastructure for an increase in demand to move education services online, how best to prepare parents and educators to navigate the digital education space and to implement a multi-pronged digital education strategy in terms of on and offline resources, content, vendors, mediums such as radio, TV, and apps. How to transition from face-to-face education delivery to meaningful online learning. COVID-19 is forcing us to rethink the education system, and it is clear that automation will play an increasingly significant role in the process of teaching and learning in the future. As a result, the Ministry of Education must build a future-oriented and resilient digital education system for the long term. An education system that integrates physical teaching and learning with remote teaching and learning. I end this address as I began. I invite all citizens and residents to join with the Ministry of Education in saluting all teachers of the Federation on this, the occasion of World Teachers' Day 2020. Teachers, as you pause to celebrate this day that has been set aside to honor you, may you find even greater inspiration and rejuvenation in your quest to make that difference in the lives of our students. Long live the teachers of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Thank you.